Men actually respect marriages. Women don't really respect marriages.
You're saying outside of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Like a man wouldn't come to you.
Yes.
Because he's like, oh, you've got your thing.
Yes, cause when I used to meet guys, any type of famous guys and stuff like that, they'll be like, how you doing, Cardi B? Like this and that. My DMs were extremely dry. Nobody would approach me. But these women, they will throw themselves at a married man like it's nothing. It's like, oh, well, whatever. And it's not because it was me. When I announced that I was single, oh boy. The DMs, every type of way they was trying to reach. But when they know that you're like in a marriage and like you have a family, they won't approach you.
Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the Healing Empath. I am your Healing Empath and I am a Healing Empath. And today's video is going to be about the code of ethics. I inserted the previous video to the topic as you've seen Cardi B and how she talked about her marriage and how men respect marriage. And I wanted to dive deep in it, and I wanted to give us as empaths some insight on how that affects us, right? Because I'm sure there was someone, an empath out there that have experienced this type of energy. Okay, but before we get into the video fully, before we get into the topic fully, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you turn on your notifications for the next videos that I will be uploading. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get my notes. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so today's video, I previously had this in my storage where I wanted to talk about the code of ethics. And if anyone, I used to be in real estate, so we had to learn like the code of ethics, but this is where I'm leaving it towards, I'm comparing it to, not comparing it, but I'm using it in a form of guy code versus girl code. Okay, so it may feel, I don't feel like this will be an uncomfortable, maybe a little triggering, but again, if you're on a healing journey as I am, then you will receive this message with the love that I'm using to convey it, okay? So today we are talking about the code of ethics, which is guy code versus girl code, and how a lack of it can deeply affect an unhealed empath. Okay, so the video that you guys just seen that I inserted about Cardi B, I just really made an observation that stood out to me. She said, I believe she mentioned before they got married, her DMs were full, and, men were pursuing her as, as a single woman, as they should. I believe, obviously showing interest, trying to take her out. There's probably some weirdos on there as well, but regardless of the fact, it is that, she was getting a lot of proposals from different men when she was single. But once she got married to Offset, right, there was that silence. Her DMs became dry. And for Offset, her husband at the time, it was the opposite during the marriage. Not only was he getting proposals by other women prior to him being married, but once he got married, it didn't slow anything down. It increased. And I think that's something that we really need to really kind of look into, especially as women. And I have two ends of the spectrum. We have women that get in relationships and they tend to, when the relationships aren't good, they get taken advantage of, they get abused, they get hurt, cheated on, or manipulated in some way, right? And then you have women like these women that are going into a married man's DMs and sending explicit photos and even pursuing him more aggressively. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about every woman. There's no statistics here about the 50%, 30%, none of that. It's just experience and case by case. I think we all can understand that at this point, right? and again, this is not every situation. There are plenty of women, disclaimer, there are plenty of women who absolutely respect relationships and marriages. I know many, and I am also one of those women that respect relationships and marriages. But we really can't ignore that there is a pattern that exists in certain spaces, especially when you have status, when you have money, or there's some type of attention involved, right? You don't have to be a celebrity. You can be a local guy that gets to your bag, and you have a girlfriend, and nobody was probably checking you before you had a girlfriend, and all of a sudden, here comes these women or young women trying to get with you now that you're with a woman, and they're seeing how you're absolutely pouring into that woman. Whether they see just the love, or they see that, you support her in some type of way. They get jealous of that, and they want to get in competition. But first, let's talk about the difference in code. Okay, so there's this idea of a man code, like a bro code, right? A bro code. And it's an unspoken rule where men are more likely to respect another man's relationship from the outside. So what I mean is, like, a man might not approach a married woman, not necessarily because of her, but if he sees a ring, it's just a respect for the man that she's with. Now, another disclaimer, there are some men that will do it, but I would have to say that most men will not take the action. They may desire and those things, but most men may not walk over once they see she's married, okay? But this is what doesn't really get talked about much, right? Some men, they respect another man's relationship, right? Another man's relationship, right? So these men that respected Offset, right, and didn't want to go into Cardi's DMs, but they won't respect theirs, okay? They won't respect theirs as much as they respect another man. So some men will respect another man's relationship more than they respect their own. So it's not that these men didn't want to go into Cardi B's DM because of her, and they had so much respect for her and her marriage. They just had respect for another man and his marriage. They have respect for Offset, right? They won't cross certain lines with someone else's wife as well, right? But behind closed doors, they may still struggle or have an issue with their own loyalty and faithfulness in their own relationship. So the code can exist, but it's, it can also be very selective on the reasoning why, right? Because I don't want to slander anyone to think like, all right, well, women are the main problem or men are the problem, but there's always a motive behind these things. And it's not always as clear because it seems like, oh, okay, well, men, he respects her and all this stuff. No, most of them actually respect Offset or just the union in general. Now, on the other side, when we flip that coin, a woman's loyalty can look very different. A woman can be deeply loyal and faithful and nurturing and committed to her husband or her boyfriend and her relationship. Some women are even loyal to someone that they just started talking to and they didn't really get to know yet. So they'll keep all their eggs in one basket and they won't communicate with anyone else until they figure out what's going on with this person. But if you notice, some men, they may say that they're, only talking to you, but they can have other women in the background that they're talking to as well. But a woman like this can also show disloyalty towards another woman, right? And this is where things can get complicated because I hear a lot of women. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys heard women, even if it's just on a talk show or on some type of podcast where they say, I don't owe another woman loyalty. That's her husband or boyfriend's responsibility. So if he steps out, that's on him. It's not me. So she shouldn't come to me, right? And while there is truth in that, yes, there is truth because you have to hold the person that's in the relationship accountable. But this also proves my point. Obviously, the man is responsible for his own personal vows, right? But that mindset of I don't owe another woman's loyalty, that mindset can also be used to justify crossing boundaries and stepping out of integrity. because integrity isn't just about what you owe someone directly. You may not have to know them, but integrity it stands in all areas. It can be with a stranger. It's about who you choose to be as an individual, right? Even when you don't have to be that way. That's what integrity is. You're doing something even if you don't have to, okay? Like some men, they can be, a gentleman, and they can hold the door open for the person coming behind them. They can hold the door open for a young lady walking in, even if they're married, or even if they're with someone, even if they're old or younger, it doesn't matter. But they don't have to. They don't have to hold the door for someone else. But their integrity, allows them to be, they choose to be, right? Now, you might be asking yourself, why does this matter for us as unhealed empaths, right? Because as empaths, we tend to operate from a place of assumed mutual respect. So we think, if I wouldn't do that, they probably wouldn't do that either, if you're unhealed or unhealthy. But at the same time, if you're on the journey, you probably realize this, but back when you weren't on your journey, you probably went through life thinking, well, I wouldn't do that, so I wouldn't assume they would do that, right? Or she's a woman, she understands boundaries, she understands integrity. Women are good. We don't do foul things like that. That's not really in our nature unless we're pushed to, right? There's this unspoken respect there. But that is an assumption that can be highly dangerous. And if you're listening to this video now, I'm sure you've experienced the part where you assumed something just because you're good, and that led you into a situation that could have been dangerous or just a nuisance in your life, okay? Because not everyone is operating from the same code as an empath. They're not operating from the same code as you or me, or so an unhealed empath, an empath that is not ready to face themselves yet, they trust too quickly, and they ignore the subtle signs of competition, right? And they overlook inappropriate behavior or excuse things that may feel off, okay? In some cases, look at friendships or other people's relationships, even siblings, where some behaviors you chuck it off like, oh, that's just them. They don't really mean any harm. So you're overlooking something, an inappropriateness about their behavior, where they could have said something inappropriate to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and it wasn't serious enough to go crazy about, but it was a side eye. And it was a bit inappropriate, but you might overlook it because you feel like, no, they wouldn't do that. They be saying anything, or they just do anything. They're impulsive at times, but they don't mean any harm, right? One thing I think also I used to do a lot, I used to talk for people and say, well, I don't think that they did this or they meant this. And you don't know what people mean. As I'm growing in my own spiritual journey and path, I understand that someone can be smiling in your face and literally be wishing your downfall underneath that smile. And you didn't even have to do anything to them to deserve it. You don't even have to be in their life, and they just wish you poorly, right? So I'm sure if you're listening to this video, you're at that stage already where you understand that you've already experienced enough and you're fed up, okay? But let's get real, because they're women, right? These are the type of women, even men, that will befriend you. They'll smile in your face. They'll even learn your relationship, okay? And then they'll justify it by saying like, well, that's between you and your man, or I don't want your man, or you're jealous, right? Or I don't want your girlfriend, you're jealous, right? Or, just crossing the line and having and sleeping around with someone that you're with, right? It doesn't mean that your partner, your relationship, right, isn't accountable. But he absolutely obviously is accountable, but it also doesn't erase the lack of ethics on the other side, on the feminine side, on your friend's side, on your sibling side, on your mother's side. Mothers have and will have, not all mothers, I would say a small amount of mothers have slept with their children's and fathers, messed around with their children's boyfriend, husband, or girlfriend. Okay, there are mothers out there that have done it. You may not believe it, you may not fathom to understand it, but it is very true. Okay, so what do I think needs to change? Okay, well, I don't know if this can 100% change, but I believe that we need to redefine what integrity is, right? A lot of people base things off of what they want to believe it is because it fits their narrative. So integrity is not just about like loyalty when it's convenient. Oh, I'm only loyal to my husband, or I'm only loyal to my friend. I'm only loyal to my mother. I'm only loyal to my whoever, you know. I'm only loyal to this person because it's convenient. But it's more about your character when no one is holding you accountable, when no one has to babysit you and your actions. Integrity is what you stand on and walk on. So if you have no integrity, what do you actually have? You have everything that lacks discipline, and they're impulsive, liars, you know, malicious. Okay? If you guys hear any noise in the background, again, I'm going to try my best to discard the noise, but if you hear any, I have my window open and trucks and stuff are going by. So second, stop separating yourself from responsibility, right? Just because you don't owe a stranger, or just because that girl didn't owe Cardi B anything, right, that went into Offset's DM, it doesn't mean that your actions are neutral or they're good. It doesn't mean it. You can say like, well, he didn't have to respond, but your intentions were poor, right? Energy is real. Intentions are real. And what you put out, what you project out with your energy, because you're giving your energy away. A lot of people think that they're like their actions, like they're putting negative energies out there, and they don't have any idea that they're using their energy to do so, right? So what you put out is surely always to come back. And then when it comes to an empath, developing discernment over assuming that people have these good hearts like you, or they wouldn't do anything like you have to understand that everyone is not your mirror. Everyone is not your reflection. And everyone and everybody does not have a heart like you, okay? Sometimes we get into that victim space where we think, well, I'm just like that and I always think the best and all, but that's not the reality, and we're not meant to be weak. We're not meant to be delusional. Just because we're sweet and kind, that doesn't mean that we have to excuse negative people. You have to put that sword up and cut these people off. If they're in your life taking advantage of you and trying to show off in front of your boyfriend or your husband, trying to be, like, you could tell they're trying to get attention, or if a man's trying to show off in front of your wife, you know, all those things, you know, they're just disrespectful, okay? And this is not about a division. I don't think it's coming off as a division either, but I just have to be clear. I'm not dividing men and women. It's more about the awareness of patterns that can harm us as a collective and that have been harming us as a collective, especially when we're in that healing space as an empath, right? It's about recognizing that some men operate with selective loyalty. It seems good, right? And honestly, it's better than what those women were doing to Offset. So I would rather a man not approach me because he respects my person versus, you know, just trying to approach me and put me in some type of situation that I don't want to be in, right? But what if men operated and said, well, I respect their union, they're married, you know? And I'm sure some men do, right? But a lot of them, you know, they look at the man and they say, oh no, that's that man's woman, I'm not going to do that. Instead of saying, I respect union, I don't need to, just because I know who this person is, you know, or just because of whatever it is, I'm going to do it because I have integrity. I'm going to do it because I respect her marriage. I'm going to do it because I respect his marriage. I'm going to do it because, I wouldn't want no one doing that to me, right? But also doing the right thing at home as well. So, making sure that you're faithful and loyal to your partner, right? Some women also operate with conditional ethics. And unhealed empaths also can get caught up in the middle of both. So selective loyalty by men and conditional ethics by women. But once you become aware, of all of this, you move differently. You choose better, and you protect your integrity, your peace at a higher level. You don't have to worry about getting anybody back or trying to cause problems in people's life because you're upset that they hurt you, right? Or just allowing people to come in and disrupt what you are trying to build for you and your family. And it really is sad that, they are divorced or going through a divorce. It's sad that had to happen, especially a young couple, good-looking children, smart, and all the things, It really is sad that no one could master their lust, the lusty energy that always brings down the families. They're unable to master it because when you're rich and you haven't dealt with healing that part of yourself, it's very difficult. You're traveling a lot, and you have all this money, you have this high ego, and you have this sneaky behavior that you did not chuck and heal, or you didn't deem as a problem. You deem it as part of you as a man. So you go and you fall into these traps, and you get sent pictures of private parts and all this temptation all day long, and you end up taking a bait. And then you lose out on a beautiful family once again. And as I told you guys in previous videos, I am divorced, and I've experienced the same thing where my marriage dissolved over a lack of integrity. And we have to do better. We have to take accountability for our actions. We have to walk with integrity and confidence within ourselves to understand we don't need to seek out other relationships to feel better about ourselves. We don't need to get validation from anyone. We are content and we can get our own. I was on, I happened to stumble against someone's live the other day, and I ended up unfollowing her because, and maybe I shouldn't have unfollowed her, but I just was a little frustrated about the topic. And she was telling women that she tries to tell women, to get with an older man that has money and he's married. You don't have to do much with him. And he will take care of everything that you have. And you can sit pretty, look good, feel good. And while this wife he has can continue being a maid. That's what she said, the maid. And I was so terribly disturbed by that comment, because this is the thought process of someone that I can tell somewhere she's been hurt somewhere. And at this point, it's like saying, like those villain movies, like, okay, I've been hurt before and I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to strategically find a way to make myself happy, and I don't care about anything and anyone. Nobody cared about me. I'm not going to care about them. So to lessen the blow, you deal with someone older so you don't have to sleep with them as much, and you just look pretty for them and they take care of you, But where's the advice about being the best version of yourself and creating something so you can build in your own path, And I was just like, and then I had heard other women agreeing with her. And I'm just like, wow, this is interesting. Another woman calling a wife a maid, that she can continue being a maid. And then they referenced the, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, when Jocelyn said she was calling Stevie J's Mimi a maid. And they referenced that. And I just was like, wow, that's so mean. That's really a mean way to be. And it's just no integrity. And it's just like a sad state, because everything is strategic and malicious, and nothing is full of love and purity. And you know, they don't think that any man is faithful. They think that most men, 9 times out of 10, all men are cheaters, and that they need a second wife. So they are okay with being a second wife as long as you have money and that you can take care of them. And it's just like, wow, this is the state. But you know, you create your own reality. You create your own concepts mentally. I was cheated on in pretty much every relationship, but that's not my thought process. I don't believe every man cheats. I do believe that it is rare for a man to be whole and healed. So if he's whole and healed, he can be confident enough that he doesn't need to seek validation and handle lower levels of his energy and to please them. So it's like a parasite, you know, like a parasite talking to you about your lust or your habits. And if you're not able to conquer them and detox from them and keep God centered in your life, you will be a victim of the same thing that everybody becomes a victim of, which is infidelity or lust or some type of malicious intent, all for the sake of money, or for the sake of sexual relationships and control and manipulation and all those things, you know. And a lot of people, you can't be this way unless you have God within you, in my opinion. Unless you have unless God, you know, unless you tapped into that energy, that's goodness, right? That has a conscience, right? That thinks before they do things. Now, some people may have experience where they were like this when they were younger, they you know, but that doesn't mean that they can't change or don't want to change. There's people that have changed many parts of their life. And it just gives you another perspective on the mentality of these type of individuals that will go in purposefully sending your, sending them nudes or rubbing on, you know, my ex-husband going to his job and he has this woman there, an older woman, you know, seducing him. And he's weak to where he can't assert his authority and respect for his marriage. And you know, how can you align with someone like that? Because they are easily manipulated and easily following. And you don't know these people from a hole in a wall and who they are, but they come with green-eyed energy, and they come with jealousy. They come with wanting to destroy something that they desperately wish that they had, but they're blocking what they could have, right? I think the world as a collective needs a healing, a cleansing, because it seems like too many situations are like this. It's the same story. It's not just a celebrity. It's not just Cardi B. It's right here in your regular communities that this is happening to. It's right there, and it doesn't matter if it's a lower class community, a middle class community, a upper class community, a wealthy community. It does not matter. This same story happens over and over and over again, and it all boils down to no one being able to master and have integrity and master the weaknesses within themselves. They succumb into just anything, right? So let me know what you think about this video. You know, let me know if it resonated with you. Let me know in the comments, or just continue the conversation. There's more for me to talk about with bro code versus girl code. There's more to this. There's layers. I'm not going to be able to put it all in one video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, like and subscribe to my channel, please. And thank you for tuning in. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night whenever you're reaching this video. Talk to you soon. Ciao.